Hey, what's up guys? Nick the Informative Fisherman here. Today I'm going to be doing a new segment and I'm calling it Big Bass Advantage. And this is certain techniques, certain mindsets, certain tips that rely on the different time of year and conditions to where there's certain little things you can do to give you advantages at catching big bass. And this may sound like something you've already heard, and you may have heard me cover this subject from time to time in my longer 30-minute adventure episode formats. But what I want to do is shorter, sweeter versions of certain things we do to give us the advantage of catching a big bass. When we're shooting a big show, I like to show, 5 to 10 catches, but it's always nice to target that 1 or 2 big bass. But a lot of the time when we're out filming or not filming, I'm pretty much only targeting big bass, and a lot of these catches are the ones you don't get to see. And the reason why is when you're only targeting big bass, you get a few opportunities, but there's a lot of things that we do that give you that big bass advantage. In one of my latest episodes, you see Matt Frazier throwing a double buzzbait. I don't care what type of double buzzbait is, as long as it's that 3/8 to ½ ounce size. This is going to consistently target larger than average bass. And you always hear guys talking about a buzzbait, a frog, a swim bait that catch big bass. And yeah, that is true, but I want to explain why. Double buzzbait makes a ton of commotion on the surface. When it's dirty or low light hours, if I'm throwing this, whether I've been to a lake or river or not, if I'm throwing it and covering water fast, if I get a bass to blow up on this, I can generally tell what size they were, or if they were larger, I can mark that waypoint, maybe come back and try it again to get them to catch it. So where I can hook up on them that next time, or come back, finesse fish it, throw something different. But I'm guaranteed, I know that a large bass lives in that area. These are honestly one of the best search tools. I'm not brand specific to you guys. I don't work with any double buzzbait company, and I still throw them very often because that's how effective they are at finding freakishly large bass. You probably heard Matt even talking, using it in the middle of the day. Even slick, calm, sunny, you throw it all day, you're still going to get 1 or 2 strikes from very large fish. Is that a 5-fish limit? No, but if you got buddies finesse fishing or fishing something else and you want to go for that one freak fish, a double buzzbait is a great way to do it. Now, a lot of people right out the box struggle casting a double buzzbait, and it's technique specific. It catches a lot of wind and it's hard to cast. You need to use braided line and you need to know how to do it. So I'm going to go over that cast with you guys real quick here, but remember, this is honestly one of the best big fish tools for hunting them out, for finding new water, and you can cover water faster with a double buzz over a big swim bait or a big glide bait. And we'll get into when to use those in another one of these videos, but I'm going to show you this double buzz. If you haven't tried it, you need to try it, so let's go over the cast. Right out the gate, I'm using 65-pound braided line. You can use 50 to 65. My frogs, I throw 65. You can punch with 65. I just think 65 is really easy to work with. It's a 12-pound diameter line. It doesn't get caught up inside your spool very often. This is one of those rare times you're going to see me suggest using the fastest reel you possibly can. And the reason why, you're reeling to consistently keep a buzz bait up, and being able to reel slower throughout a day is going to make you feel less fatigued. So a faster reel is going to help keep that double buzz up on the surface of the water consistently throughout the day, and you're going to be taking less cranks, not wearing yourself out. Now, one of the things with a double buzz, you can see this has a lot of mass. You throw it in the air, it's going to change speeds real quick if you just try to flick it, or you just try a normal roll cast. If you're just easing a normal roll cast up and just trying to hit a boat 20 or 30 feet from you, it's no different than roll casting a jig up there. But the thing is, we're covering water and trying to find these fish. So one tip I want you to start off with is about 2 feet, 24 inches to 20 inches of line out. You can guess it, about 2 foot off the end of your rod. From there, I'm going to put it over my right hand shoulder, okay? Or my left hand if I'm a left-hander. Now this is where you're going to do this special cast, and it almost looks like a surf cast. You're going to use your casting arm as a fixed point. You're going to click down your clutch, and you're strictly rotating with your hips, just like you're casting a crankbait out there a long ways, but you're doing this. You're pulling down with this hand as you turn. All your momentum is being pulled down, and you're following through with that arm. You're not flicking it with your wrist like that. you're pulling down and following through. And what you're gonna hear is you're gonna hear my double buzz. Listen, can you hear that? You can hear it start to speed up. I'm gonna release it on that cast. Simple 80, 90 foot cast out there. I'm gonna bring it back to the boat real quick. I'm gonna take my little loop, because when I did 3 casts there, I went over the top for you. And that's one of those things too, if you don't get comfortable with your cast, there's a lot to catch on your line. So by doing that accelerated cast, you're taking the flick out of it, which is gonna wrap that braid around your props more often if you take a little snappy cast. So right there, I'm gonna get about that 20, 24 inches. I'm gonna put it right here, pull down. That's a 100-foot cast, no problem, and you'll hear it go woof. It'll accelerate through that cast. It's not a flick. What happens is if you just go to flick it, you're snapping it, the blades are all of a sudden accelerating and stopping, and you're gonna get a ton of backlashes. Once again, I'm gonna show you one more time. I'm pulling down. It's gonna launch it out there 100+ feet, no problem at all. Now the reason why I leave more line out, what that's doing is it's adding more weight and more leverage to the tip of your rod. So let me show you this up close. When you look at this, if it's really close, there's not as much leverage with the lure. As I start to accelerate, it's gonna bend that rod a lot easier and allow me to lob that bait, a much larger pendulum style of cast. It's a surf cast. If I had it really close to the tip, there's not as much leverage. It's gonna be a lot flickier, and that's where I'm gonna get that backlash. This is a 7'4" Sticks surface stick. This is a fast action. This is what you would throw like frogs with or a spook with. Now, sometimes I'll throw a double buzz on a 7'6", moderate fast, and that would be the Sticks reaction stick. If all I'm doing is making long cast all day. But if I'm casting up and around boat docks and targets, I want to throw it on the fast action 7'4". That's a surface stick. I can pinpoint my cast a little bit better. But if I'm over grass, there's no boat docks, I can probably get another 20 or 30 foot with that reaction stick consistently by throwing it on that setup. Double buzz baits are great for crawling over thin surface matted vegetation, not necessarily snot like a frog, but how I was showing you, to get that hook point in line with the props, you can make it over dramatic to where that hook point is now slightly higher than those, and you can reel it over that matted vegetation a lot easier. What happens, it starts getting on that mat, and those props want to pull down, and it raises that hook as those props want to pull, allowing you to easily come over that vegetation. Or if there's timber slightly up on the surface, that's a great way to do it. If you want to add more noise to your double buzz too, you can also bend these in a little where the props will occasionally hit one another to make additional audio. You'll see this one has these little guys right here. This is a clacking style, but realistically, even underwater in a swimming pool, you don't hear them. They're not as loud as like a rattle trap. It's basically the commotion that they're putting off on the water, looking like a wounded bird or a wounded rat, just something making a ton of commotion. I honestly think they don't really know what it is. It's just really curious and really large looking, so they got to come up and check it out. All right guys, one thing you're going to notice, I use dramatically different colors all the time. Basic rule, black, white. When it's up making a ton of commotion on the surface, they need a focal point, not necessarily the perfect color. So to keep it simple, as white as you can, maybe some chartreuse, super bright visual, and as dark as you can. You'll also see I got Sharpie wearing out on these blades, a little bit of red, a little bit of black, getting a little creative right there to show them red and show them black when they get really close. It just looks like something's flashing, maybe a gill plate, and it wears out. You can use fingernail polish or paint if you want. Trailers are critical. If you're moving your buzzbait fast, I always like a craw style or a frog style trailer on here. The flatter appendage is when I'm getting fish to attack my buzzbait when I'm moving it fast. If I think that I need to move my buzzbait a little bit slower, I'll use the ones with the fatter appendages like the rage toad. That's got a little more thickness to the body, which slows the buzzbait down and helps it stay up on the surface and has more drag with the feet. Less drag, thinner body going faster, fatter body, more drag with the thicker appendages. Now, what's really critical is a lot of people suffer with is on a buzzbait is they'll catch a bass, one of the blades will get bent or the shaft will get bent and the buzzbait will be rotating in the water or riding sideways, okay? If your bait's rotating or diving under or is hard to stay on the surface, what happens is it got bent like this, and now your hook point is pointing under the arms with the props. A good rule of thumb is you want your hook point pointing at the arm of the props. So I'm gonna hold the shank and I'm gonna bend it forward like that to where now my hook point is much more parallel with the back of those prop wires like that. That's gonna help you a ton immediately. If you still have problems from here, check your trailer to make sure it's not twisted or something's fouled up. Problems from there means one of your wires coming from your prop is out of square with the main wire going to the hook. So you look here, make sure it's perfectly parallel. Look right here, make sure it's parallel. Then look between the props, make sure they're parallel, and then look straight at it to make sure it's sitting perfectly level with your bait. You do all that, guys, and focus on firing this around at low light hours. It doesn't matter if it's dirty water or clean water with a double buzz. Believe it or not, they tend to excel in dirty water, but clear water, they also catch them. Low light hours, move fast, throw the double buzz. You will find a fish of a lifetime. Anytime a fish blows up, mark it. You now have a new big fish weight point. Go to new water, cover water fast, don't slow down. You get a blow up, come back later, finesse fish them, and go catch a fish of a lifetime. Follow this new series, guys. Subscribe, click that little bell notification button. I'm gonna do a bunch of short videos that's gonna give you that big bass advantage. Thanks for watching.